I had business partners die at age 35, both of them, right? 35 years old. And so before that happened, I was really a miser. It was all about how much could I scrimp and save and sacrifice and defer and delay. And they would go do these things that would cost a lot of money. I'd be like, what is wrong? Like, you guys are crazy. And so if we never enjoy spending our money, or we feel guilty every time, it's like eating that treat, but then feeling terrible about it. And our mind is now occupied with scarcity and negative thinking and hatred for ourselves. So value-based spending is actually the way to judge this. Is it worth it to you? Money can be complicated. Let a nerd help you. We're here to demystify the complex nature of money by getting you answers from financial nerds and whiz kids. Welcome to Ask the Money Nerds, a weekly segment of the Wealth Labs podcast where we answer your most pressing money questions. You're thinking about taking money out of your retirement plan right now, but maybe you have decent fixed interest rate options in there. Or maybe you're just thinking like, well, what if you start doing some things for quality of life today rather than later on? Maybe you're living in the city and so many people are wanting to get in places kind of outside of a city. I'm seeing that happen. So what makes sense, and what happens if, you interrupt the compound interest curve and every financial person is telling you you're doing the wrong thing? Well, it's time to listen and see there might be other options and other things to consider. Stolba, let's jump in.
Yeah, Sam's question is the one we're going to focus on right now, and he's approaching retirement age. He says he's 58. With a 403B balance of $500,000 with 8.25% fixed rate of return guaranteed.
First off, that's a sweet interest rate.
Yeah, it seems high.
It is, but it's a 403B, right? Not a 401k.
403B.
Right. So like there's certain options there because he's maybe a government worker or a nonprofit.
Okay.
But 8.25 is phenomenal for a fixed interest rate.
Yeah, and he says the return is guaranteed by NYS law. This will be eligible for $105,000 annual pension that is NYS and local tax-free.
Yeah, it just has to pay the FICA on it, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and it'll be about $7,500 per month after tax.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice.
Thinking about drawing $100,000 from the 403B to buy a second home condo outside of the city to enjoy. With the CARES Act provision eliminating the 10% penalty and my current tax rate of 24% won't change when adding the $100,000.
So it won't push him up into a higher tax bracket is what he's saying, because there's marginal rates. And so I used to think that if you made more money, that all your taxes got taxed higher. It's only that last dollar.
Oh, this is really interesting. Right? Elaborate on this.
So like I remember I'm in college and I was single, and it's like if you make $23,000, $499, then it's, it goes up when you hit that number from like 15% to 20%. This isn't exact numbers, but I'm like, oh crap, if I make another dollar, all of a sudden I'm going to pay higher tax. No, because all the previous dollars still got to say it 10 or 15%. Yeah, it's only that next dollar gets in. But even if he pulls this out, it doesn't push those dollars into a higher tax bracket. They still say it 24%. So that's good news.
Yeah. The other thing that he says, the income when claimed over a 3-year period with a provision, and the tax rate will probably be going back up down the road. People tell me no because loss on compound interest, but I don't agree. What are your thoughts? So that was a little jump.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's saying. So look, if he takes this $105,000 and buys this condo, then that $105,000 is not earning the 8.75%. And if you look at compound interest, it always looks good at the end.
Yeah.
But he's 58 and he's retiring soon. Let's say he retires at age 62. So $100,000 over the next 3 years or so at 8.75%, how much would he stand to gain by reinvesting that? So maybe in the next year it's $108,000, and then the next year it's earning 8.75 on 108,000. So it's going to be more than 8,000 that he earns. And so, let's say he stands to, if he does this, that it might cost him $27,000 or something, or $30,000 in gains on that $100,000 or that $105,000. So would the value of this condo potentially go up by that?
Yeah.
Maybe not, Right. And what would be the utility value of him enjoying it and not having a loan on it? So I believe in something called value-based spending. Yes. So value-based spending it's kind of like I'm finally learning how to do this with eating, Stolba. just Saturday.
Value-based spending with eating.
It's like the same philosophy with eating. My mom made a Rice Krispie square with like cake batter and these chocolate chips on it.
Oh, wow.
And there's never been a time in my life that I can remember since I've been an adult that I could eat something like that without feeling guilty because it's going to take away from my muscles or it's going to put me in the grave because so many doctors, are like, oh my God, sugar's worse than cocaine. And and I just ate it guilt-free. And I've been eating that way since October 4th. And I've lost a little bit of weight.
Interesting.
I've been trying to be in moderation. But, I was like, hey, I feel fine. But when I start having cortisol levels increase because of all that stress, and this is what happens with spending. We spend based upon, is this the best price? Is this the right time? Instead of what do we really want? And would we still be financially okay by doing this because there's still money in there. There's still the pension that's coming in.
Right.
So I don't believe it's interrupting much of a compound interest curve over 3 years. We know what that money would be. We can measure that and just say, do you value that $30,000 of interest more than you value spending time in that condo and getting away from the city? So it becomes a value-based decision.
Yes.
And there's price, which is what we pay. There's cost, which is the economic impact. And there's value, which is our feeling of satisfaction and enjoyment. And we're in a society where somehow we're told, hey, you deserve and you're owed that from a value standpoint. And so people like just buy it whether they can afford it or not. And then we have an investing community that says you never want to spend your money because haven't you ever read The Millionaire Next Door? And if you too could be Ebenezer Scrooge if you never spend a single dollar. So for me, if it was me, I would just measure it that way. What am I giving up versus what am I getting? And is it worth that amount of money? And would I get that much utility and that much benefit? I had a college roommate that he referred me to his parents. And I was still in college. But they said, well, we'll meet with him because he's your friend. But I'm sure this 21-year-old kid isn't going to help us out any. And they had 5 other financial advisors they're talking to. Dad was the president of a construction company. Mom worked at a bank. They did really well. And when I sat down with them, all the advice everyone gave was like, hey, we do better on investing your money than the other person. I'm like, I don't really want to help you invest your money, but I do look at what if we restructure these loans? What if you took these CDs and eventually finance the down payment for your kids and you can get a higher interest rate than you're having on your CDs? And what if we did this to create this tax advantage? And they were going to wait almost 10 years to buy the motorhome that they really wanted. We bought it then. His dad died 7 years later of a massive stroke. So he wouldn't have had those 7 years of enjoyment.
Yeah.
I had business partners die at age 35, both of them, right? 35 years old. And so before that happened, I was really a miser. It was all about how much could I scrimp and save and sacrifice and defer and delay. And they would go do these things that would cost a lot of money. I'd be like, what is wrong? Like, you guys are crazy. And so if we never enjoy spending our money or we feel guilty every time, it's like eating that treat, but then feeling terrible about it. And our mind is now occupied with scarcity and negative thinking and hatred for ourselves. So value-based spending is actually the way to judge this. Is it worth it to you?
Yeah, I think price and cost often get convoluted.
Right, because price is what we pay, cost is the net economic impact.
Yes.
I was able to show them how to get the motorhome, and I wrote about it in Killing Sacred Cows. People can grab that book, wealthfactory.com/megakit, MEGAKIT, download it for free. While you exchange your email so we can communicate and every now and again try to sell you something. Yep, that's what we do. But you can have that and you can read the story in there. I mean, and I was really grateful because this was a college roommate that's a buddy of mine and is like, got to give that to his parents because I thought about like, what do they really want? Like personal finance needs to be personal. Like, what do you really want? Like if your entire advisor's advice is scrimp, sacrifice, delay, budget, defer, and you're just constantly like budgeting is like counting calories. Sure. You can eat less calories and potentially lose weight, but is that really what you want? Is that
really
if that's what is the energy and the effort and the amount of consumption of the mind that could have been used towards productive thoughts? Like, look, I was eating with someone that was probably what the world would consider one of the most beautiful people ever, and they ate some French fries and sipped a little bit on a soda. And I was like, and they look amazing. I'm like, you know what? Like that was a big moment for me because I'm like, I judge everything that I put in my body. Right. And I think that's how people are trained to think about money with far too many of these so-called gurus, that it's all about what you could eliminate.
Yeah.
And It's one thing to be frugal. It's another thing to be a cheapskate, you know, so.
And to limit joy in your life. And I think one way that I've done this in my life is I'll find something that I like or that I've been saving for and I want, and I'll get it. I'm like, I didn't really need that, so I'll return it before I use it or enjoy it. Cause I'm like, I somehow convince myself that it's not yet the right time or it's not as important in the moment. And so, well, like I was saying earlier, price and costs get convoluted, and values or value-based spending is like negated altogether sometimes. Like either people are really good at it, or you don't, it's not a part of the equation when making a decision about how to spend your money, or when you're planning for your retirement, taking that into consideration. Because how devastating for that family, like you said, if they would have waited that 10 years, they wouldn't have had those memories with their husband, with their father. And I'm not saying we should always get everything that we want when we want it. You know, there's some level of discipline and responsibility, but just if you enjoy something and it's going to bring some vitality to your life and it's going to help you make memories with the people that you love, you do have the permission to invite that into your life.
Right.
You know, it's important to have hobbies. Like it wasn't until my early 30s that I actually had a hobby that I enjoyed.
Is that
kind of crazy?
What's your hobby now?
Well, everybody that's been listening for a while has been dancing, but I did archery for a while and then I gave it up.
You hike, you snowshoe, dancing.
Yeah.
You know,
I love hosting people for meals, and
that's interesting. I've never been invited to one of your meals. That's just hurtful. It's really,
I haven't actually done it a lot since I've lived here.
And you got COVID and all that kind of stuff going on. So, all right. That's all right. I like making lattes for people.
Do.
Yeah. You even let me make you one today.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll Venmo you later.
So look, you now get to turn your thoughts into profits. And I will say this though, could always Airbnb that when you're not there. If you allow other people in there, like my cabin, we don't do that because my wife's like, no, this is our personal space. That's cool. Yep. But there might be ways to create cash flow from that might even make up for it or even overcome it. Or maybe you're just going to say, I'm just going to enjoy this. So wealthfactory.com/mega kit, download Killing Sacred Cows, check it out. There's also a cash flow guide in there that maybe you find the cash to go get this on your own without even having to tap into this. I don't know. But again, turn your thoughts into profits and build the life you love. Want to master your money? Want to figure out the things that you could do to improve your finances? Click here and check out more videos like this on Money Matters.